Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folani. Hope you had a great weekend. My guest this morning, Ahmed Dada Abbas, lawyer and public affairs analyst. Good to have you as always.
Good morning,
Hope
sir.
you had a great weekend. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And journalist Eni Olukotun. Thank you very much for being here as well.
It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah. There was a scare during the weekend, so probably spend a bit of time on that because talking about the Caverton helicopter that the vice president was in, crash landing, and everybody escaped unharmed. In fact, the vice president continued, his project. He was on a campaign tour, and he continued. It's the second time the vice president has been involved in a slight mishap. Maybe there's nothing slight about a mishap concerning aircraft, but you know what I mean. He escaped, and we're thanking God for that. Some have said that, why was he in a hired helicopter? It's been explained. The fleet of the presidency was decreased from around 10 or something like that to a more manageable number, all in the interest of cutting costs. But it's gratifying news that it was a mishap and everybody walked away, right? Let me start with you, if I could, Ahmed.
Thank you. For me, I think it's an issue that the federal government should take very serious.
It's reported that they have ordered, an inquiry into it, and AIB.
It's not just about
has taken it up.
Ordering an inquiry. It's that the vice president, if you look at his itinerary, since the presidency of Buhari came in, has been like the Secretary of State in the United States of America, always junketing round the whole state. And it only means you must put in resources, especially his chopper aircraft should be in top shape because he travels a lot on behalf of the president.
Indeed.
And the reason beyond his safety, which is necessary and desirous, you see, in a fractured society, politically, ethnically, and religiously, if anything untoward had happened to the president, be rest assured the enemies of the state will give a lot of interpretations and meanings. And it could really be
a serious... The vice president, you mean?
Yeah, the vice president. Could be misinterpreted by enemies of the state. They could term it that it was staged by the state. I mean, his death was managed by the state. Or they could say they are targeting to eliminate all Southwesterners in the corridors of power.
All sorts of conspiracy theories.
Yes, conspiracy theories. So that's why the presidency should take it very seriously. Even the president himself, whatever aircraft they are using, please, they should maintain them and ensure that they are in top shape.
Indeed.
To save us further division in the society.
Okay, preliminarily, one has to be reticent about commenting on what happened with aircraft mishaps since AIB, Accident Investigation Bureau, has to go into it and all of that. But the authorities of Caverton reportedly have said that it was bad weather, freaky weather. That's on the one hand, but as I said, and as you know, one has to wait for AIB to pronounce on what exactly happened. Some have even gone as far as saying that perhaps it was, a pilot error, whatever. We don't know yet, but helicopters are not supposed to come down mercifully. This is something that we're talking about here, and the man himself in the eye of the storm, along with 9 other crew members, all escaped. So that matter about one of the suspects potentially is freaky weather.
Well, if I should, take the explanation of the Caverton helicopter, I think it is, quite pedestrian and elementary. So if you are talking about, bad weather and we have flights, connecting our major cities all over the country, and the person or vice president could be coming, your client is a vice president, quite well. And apart from the office he occupies, you should understand the fact that we are in a very sensitive period. That there are so many things. If anything happens, just like Barrister Abbas said earlier, there will be a lot of interpretation, to it and all that. And to me, it is one too many. Now, if you recall, something similar happened barely 7 months ago. So the question we should be asking ourselves is that, is the present government really concerned about safety? Because if something happened, now the question we should ask ourselves, that something that happened sometimes around June 2018, what was the outcome of that investigation? Now that AIB is embarking on this investigation, it is very germane for the AIB to do a very thorough job,
exactly,
thorough investigation.
So what happened?
To exactly what happened. The knee-jerk response of the Cavantin helicopters, to me, it doesn't hold any water and it's quite baseless at this time.
Okay.
Yes.
When you say it doesn't hold any water, okay, as a concerned citizen, I suppose one has to be careful what one says about it, but the attitude of the man himself, Vice President Osinbajo, shrugging it off and not breaking his step, so to speak, metaphorically speaking, I suppose that was to pacify all of us, and sort of keep focus on the election, which is the quest he was on, and not be distracted by this. I imagine there are all sorts of things that will come to mind in this kind of a scenario. But I suppose the best thing to do probably is wait on AIB to find out what has happened. But in the meantime, I suppose people up and down the land are just giving thanks that Nigeria doesn't have a tragedy on its hands. It does have a serious matter, as you both gentlemen have said,
of course.
but thank God, tragedy is not among them. That's on the. Did you? That's about that.
No,
Yes.
that's okay. You nailed it.
Well, the other thing that you would have noticed, of course, is the meeting in Lagos. In Lagos, there had been rumblings of an impeachment of the governor because of misunderstanding between the executive and the legislature. Okay, well, top notchers of the party, I think the Governor's Advisory Council is how they call that body. They came together, and the result of that meeting, going by reports of APC leader Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is that there's no impeachment in Lagos. Disagreements like this happen. He referred to it as a conflict between the executive and the legislature. While it lasted, it was worrying, wasn't it, Abbas? That look, especially for the occupant of the office.
No, for me, I will be honest with the society. I was indifferent to what was happening there. Not worrisome for me as a person, because the politics of Lagos is actually very peculiar. It's very peculiar. I wasn't worried at all, because I know one way or the other the matter will be resolved. And it was I was just, as a student of Nigerian politics and in the politics of Lagos State, I knew they were behind the scene kind of intrigue that was ongoing on, and I know at the end of it would peter out. So that's why I wasn't bothered. I could have slept through the storm. I'm telling you honestly.
Knowing the way of Nigerian politics.
Yes.
And before you're coming on the question, could I just, I'm told that there's been a call. Good morning, Mr. George. Mr. George,
good morning to the gentleman in front of you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for calling.
Uncle Yori, I'm personally very surprised that the vice president is traveling on a hired helicopter in a country where, as we speak, Uncle Yori, virtually all the former heads of state in this country, all the generals who have been in charge of our oil wells, all the senior advocates of Nigeria, and the judges, the lawyers, there is a gang up. If they have anything, if they have a way to get rid of the president and the vice president today, they will do it. How can you be in the midst of all this and you take the risk of traveling in a commercial aircraft for the vice president of a country? I find it very difficult to believe.
Okay.
Are we so poor that we cannot afford helicopters for our presidential fleet, or we cannot maintain it? It's a very big risk. It shouldn't have been taken.
Okay.
I've been so worried since Saturday And I do not know how to tell the government that this is wrong.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Okay, well, we moved away from that, but since phone calls didn't come in, we might as well, still air aspects of it. Well, Mr. George's comment assumes that the needful wasn't done since we had to go to the second option of hiring an aircraft. But I don't know that we can say as much. I imagine that when they would have been told, two things here. I imagine they will say, look, life is precious, tremendously important. We never lift off without 100% checks. I imagine they'll say something like that. And even more so, or not to mention it being the vice president. You can expect that. That is the kind of thing that they were saying that, look, everybody is as important as the president to us. And so we do all the checks that anybody would do if the president was flying. I imagine that's the kind of thing that you're likely to hear.
Yes, exactly. That is exactly what would have happened, because if you look at it image-wise, it doesn't actually, it wasn't in the best interest of the government, to go to a private, operator to get a shopper if all your, helicopters were in good shape.
But
and all
the
that.
presidential fleet has been depleted such that it can't sustain multiple operations at the same time, is what we were told.
I don't know how. I don't know what to say to that.
So how did they arrive at when they were cutting, right? Because one paper referred to it as, with hindsight, penny pinching. That's what one paper referred to it as. But let me take someone else from home. Someone else is Reverend Dominic. Good morning.
Good morning, Chief Justice.
Good morning, Reverend. It's been quite a while.
Good morning. You are panelists here.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't think I have the best network, but let me just go on and talk.
Sure.
Your judge has just spoken my mind concerning that our VP is using a chartered or partial helicopter to travel. It's not that we don't have a helicopter in presidential fleet. It's what government will ask us in this coming, because we have more than 2-3 helicopters in presidential fleet. Why it's all in commercial one is another thing. But I want to express this fear and concern. I decided not to comment from this time to the end of the election. But a lot of people have talked to me several times. Why do you keep quiet in face of their party? They call APC my party. I'm not a party man. I have to move for APC. They call it my party. I'm going to because I supported it. But the issue is that if the APC also as a government is helping matter, this is the fourth time this man has come to me and his house. So what caution has taken? Nothing. And if this man dies, the people know how controversial our nation is. Accidents do happen. They will not be accidents. We are in a very terrible situation as a nation where we trust nothing, we trust nobody. We should let this election come and go. People can unify ourselves. We can continue as a nation in this tragedy. That nothing happened by accident, it happened naturally. Nobody trusts anybody. I've had commentary. Somebody will come to them. They want to kill him and bring another vice president. But it's not possible. If the man, unfortunately, God speed, if he dies, we still come back to the West. But all this is what we call fake news. But fake news has become a real news today because the way we have governed. I pray and I thank God the man did not die and nothing will happen to the end of this election. Never a time in the history of Nigeria have we been divided this way. If we win this election, whether it's or Buhari, let everybody that win it or anyone that win it unite Nigeria. It will be better for us, it will be better for our children, it will be better for our country. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. I mean, this goes back to the conspiracy theories that you were talking about, that people, especially in our society, maybe in any society, but especially in our society, are going to come up with theories.
Exactly.
You see, the honest truth is that Nigerians have been exploited, disappointed. So there's a deficit, heavy deficit of trust between governors and the governed. Every action of the government is misinterpreted because there has been no genuine interest in the progress of Nigeria. our elders will keep telling us the better 70s and better 60s and better 70s. Societies are supposed to be pointing towards brighter future, brighter today. But when a society begins to say their past is better than the present, that's a problem. That's a problem. Those who, I mean, are in their 70s, in their 80s, when you sit down with them and they recapture, you know, the good olden days, you are amazed. How did we get to this present? So there's something fundamentally wrong, and we need a new set of leaders that can inspire hope and confidence in a better future. Nigeria is like a beautiful lady that men are willing to rape, but nobody is ready to make commitment of marriage to. So every ethnic group are angling to take over the leadership of Nigeria, not necessarily because they want to commit to a better Nigeria, advancing the growth of Nigeria, but it's our turn. So when they come, they surround themselves with people from their ethnic, from their villages, from their fathers' houses. If you go to Aso Rock, when the president from the north is there, it is literally as if you are in an Islamic caliphate. When a southern president, South president, Ijo man is there, you go there, it is literally as if, oh, you have an Ijo republic and all the rest of them. So each of those ethnic groups simply see Nigeria as an object that should be exploited. Anytime you see an average ethnic people saying it's our turn, they are not necessarily saying it is our turn to advance the growth of Nigeria. Yeah. They are simply crying that, look, we are not eating, we are not chopping the way we should be chopping. Oh dear. So it is our turn. And so when they get there, they surround themselves with people from their ethnic group. You can, look, an average Nigerian on the street, when you interrogate, they are simply looking for an environment to give expression to their talent and their potential. And you know, the frustration is getting to the peak now. When you go to any embassy, if you go to Canada, ask people, if you see the number of Nigerians that are queuing and applying for asylum, and they are the middle class. Well,
it's not asylum. What is citizenship?
Skilled workers scheme. Yes. You know, skilled workers, because Australia, Canada, they are inviting people. So what you are using your human capital to develop other societies. And it's the middle class that are going. Those that are working in banks as managers, those that are working as professionals, they are migrating in their numbers, because we need to tell ourselves the truth. The economic opportunities are not expanding at the rate at which we are churning out graduates and the middle class. Until we begin to create economic opportunities for our people, we'll keep on having this problem of frustration.
Okay.
The system.
We're talking about the near mishap, the vice president's helicopter crash landing, although the man walked away. Indeed, as he himself said later, we heard him speak, you know, everybody was fine. He didn't break his stride. But what is to say that it wasn't just an accident? Although maybe when people begin to talk metaphysics, then they'll say that there is nothing like an accident, you know, in metaphysical terms. But that's not what we're talking about here. So that maybe what you said, you know, what you were saying, Ahmed, reminded me, I don't know, you might have read Sanola Olumeze's column yesterday in The Punch, exactly the point you made about people not being in there for service.
Of course.
They're in there for, now it's our turn, and that kind of a thing. But I'm keeping somebody waiting. Ade from Surulere, good morning. I left it too late. Ade, I'm so sorry. Maybe you could get in again. So there's this distrust, deep distrust that you were speaking about, although we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that it just might have been an accident, since we're not talking metaphysics where they say everything has been prearranged and nothing. That's not what we're talking about here, right? That's why AIB has to come into it.
Yes, of course. But
and do a scientific analysis of what happened.
Yes, but we are not going to totally divorce that, you know, looking at our political... exactly, looking at our political atmosphere. Just like what Barrister Ahmed said earlier, you know, the political class has so much divided the nation, and they have, you know, already divided people, you know, by religion, by ethnicity and some other primordial sentiments, that we see. I saw all the, all the things flying around, on the social media, on the WhatsApp. Some people even, putting out some dangerous thing that this could be another, it is similar to what happened to late General Azazi and is it the governor of Kaduna State and all that? So it is quite worrisome.
Okay.
No, it is quite worrisome that we as Nigerians, the nation is so divided along ethnic and religion lines and all that. Immediately, I think barely 24 hours after that incident, a religious body, a Christian body, issued a statement, saying nothing should happen to the president, to the vice president and all that. And I say, well, are we so, have we gone to that particular extent where we have to put political meanings, some dangerous...
After all, we lose the occasional aircraft within the military on training runs.
Yes, about barely 2 weeks ago.
Even civil aviation.
With 200 and something passengers, sometimes they crash. People lost. Lost their life.
Yes.
But you see, just to add to the conversation and the narrative, some people were even saying, I wish the vice president had died.
Someone said
on
it
social media.
I look at it.
Somebody even said, I wish it were Buhari. It is to tell you the extent to which the society is actually bleeding from so much mistrust, religious bigotry, ethnic, bigotry.
Do you expect any of this to play out in the election, which is just around the corner?
Yes, of course it has. Right. It is in the here already. If you look at it very well, some particular section of this country are supporting a particular candidate who's, I wouldn't like to mention his name, just because of their own...
we're going to come to that. I have a call from Kaduna. I'm sorry for keeping you wait. Maybe the thing to do is as soon as I get your call, even though what happens is that I'm looking for a convenient juncture for a full stop and then go there. And by the time I go, they're gone. So I think what I'm going to do is that with your understanding, as soon as I get the notice, I'll just cut into whatever we're saying. So sorry about missing those last 2 calls.
So primordial, sentiment. Yeah, of course, it is so rife in our society to the extent that we can't even isolate issues from noise. We see noise everywhere, and people are not even making sense. Even most of these unfortunate statements come from people who are well respected in the society and all that. So even if you look at the quality of our public discourse, in recent times, it has been so debased that people who are top intellectuals are also towing the lines of people who are discussing in a pepper soup joint or a beer parlor. Because if something like this happened everywhere, all over the world, what government will do is what the presidency has done. By calling the relevant agencies that looks into mishaps, in our airspace, to look into what happened, not just for us, propping up all manner of unsubstantiated theories, just to divide the nation and to cause disharmony, within the country.
What might we do in this circumstance? Because 2020 vision is excellent. Look, we've pointed out that even in the Air Force, in the military, occasional unfortunate accidents happen. So nobody can bring political bearing to any of that. They take it as, oh, what a pity. There's no question as to the competency of all involved, but accidents still will happen. But as you've said, it's a peculiar environment that we are in, and so these kind of things will come up. Are we saying that maybe if they're taking a military aircraft, for example, if they're taking a military plane or a military helicopter, especially a military helicopter, again, there would have been an outcry that you can't do that. It's a special advantage over your competitors. So I imagine government itself was looking to be circumspect and put their money where their mouth is in terms of their morals. Is it even possible to suggest that because he's the vice president, maybe the president is different, because he's the vice president, he should also have access to...
No, sir. You see, in those who crafted the structures of government knows that anything can go wrong with the president.
Yes.
Anything.
Yes.
And if anything happens to the president, he becomes incapacitated. Those who crafted the structures of government decided to create the office of the vice president so that there will be no vacuum. It's like pilot 1, pilot 2. If he slumps and dies, pilot 2, competent as pilot 1, takes over and ensure safe landing of the aircraft. That's why in the American tradition, you will never find the American president and the vice president most times. They try as much as possible to avoid bringing all of them.
Yes.
The most, the structures of government, they try as much as possible not to put them in the same building,
in same
doing
location. Yeah.
doing same function.
That's right.
They try as much as possible.
That's right.
And it is precautionary measure to ensure there will be no vacuum in case of anything. The vice president is as important as the president. It's only in this climb that we bring spare tires. It's only in this climb.
That concept.
Yes, it's only in this climb that sometimes deputy governors will go look for people that can't even step into the shoes of the governor in case of anything. When they impeach a governor, they have to impeach the deputy governor to bring in the appropriate person.
One moment, please.
Yes.
Divine in Makurdi, thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Okunyori, and good morning to your guests in this team.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank God for the saving of our vice president in the aircraft. You see, the truth is that let us be our brother's keeper. Despite that the government of this APC are not doing the right thing, first of all, we should just thank God that God spared his life. But this is just a sign of the APC-led government because they are not doing the right thing. And this thing has happened before. There was no any appropriate report that's given. This one has happened again. They will keep it an inquiry that will not bring any yielding results. So it shows you that there is something that is happening in the government.
Divine, how did you mean? How did you mean that APC is not doing the right thing vis-a-vis the coveting? Wait. The coveting. You mean APC didn't put the right pilot? I don't know. Freaky weather is what we're hearing preliminarily. So how does APC come into that?
Yes, this is function. This is function he went for. And he went with another aircraft, being hired, being paid. And while we have enough in the Aso Rock.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for calling in. I got to rush off on a break. I got to rush off on a quick break, but we'll be right back. Stay with us, please. Okay, welcome back. We're looking at, we thought of it as one of those subjects, but we're looking at the near mishap, the coveting helicopter, the vice president escaping unscathed.
So like, what I was saying was, the life of the president, the vice president is also as important because in the case of the president becoming incapacitated, the vice president becomes the next pilot of the nation. I saw some technical, or what should I say, procedural error. In standard practice in civilized climb, when such a thing happen, even in the midst of your itinerary, you could just by the sideway go for medical checkup for just 1 hour. Most times, their entourage has full-fledged medical personnel.
Yeah.
If the American president, from what we read, even his blood, they have pints of blood they carry along with the president in case of any medical challenge for him to be transfused. So what I expected the vice president to have done, or his medical team, was to have taken the vice president off the track just 1 hour medical checkup in medical centers. At least we must have a teaching hospital in Kogi, and tell the public there was an accident. He has gone for medical checkup and he's been cleared and he's back on his campaign trail. Mm-hmm. That should be the standard practice.
Okay.
Yes, there's nothing wrong in him continuing, but at least, please, for health's sake and procedurally,
okay,
we should take the time out.
Okay. Michael in Benin, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Yori.
Good morning, sir.
First time caller.
Oh, we're delighted to have you. Thank you for calling in.
And I'm a regular, I watch your show regularly.
Thank you.
I really appreciate the contribution of that, but how people put forward their submissions and all of it. We're in the political era. So everything that happens in Nigeria, see, let's pick it back from like December up till we do the first one, which is February 16th. Everything that happens will be given and painted like a brush of an art, political coloration.
Yeah.
The standards of any top political office holder, namely the president or vice president, is such that they are well guarded. Even the opposition, everybody should be well guarded because these are the people, these are the nation. When things like this happen, there should be a standard procedure on ground that such people are taken through. Anything short of that makes a mess of the country. As a people, we must begin to look at our law. I keep saying it. I would have preferred most of the candidates who have come out now to want to take the number one spot, to have gone first of all to try and become legislators. So that the right
all right,
people
then.
will get to that place and pass the right laws.
Okay.
The way we are, our laws need revisiting. Trust me, Yori. Our laws need revisiting. It's got nothing to do with political parties and politicking.
All right, then.
There should be a standard.
All right, then. Well, thank you very much, Michael.
Because we're going. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Indeed. Appreciate you. In terms of standards, I think unless, I'm sure Michael is also aware that when there's any airplane mishap, no matter how minor, it must be investigated. There's no such thing as, okay, we know what's going on, we're going back to base. No. AIB will investigate. So I don't know if that is not adequate for Michael, but just to add that little bit. Gentlemen, something else I wanted to bring up, especially since we have one, a journalist here, and two, a lawyer. We spent a lot of time on it last week, speaking about the suspended CJN. Today he's supposed to appear before the CCT. There were spirited efforts over the weekend to prevent this. Among other reasons advanced was that it would be a demystification of the office if the suspended CJN were to actually sit in the dock on the one hand, and the other, I think I've heard another one, which is that just hold everything, let the NJC meet. The NJC is not going to take too much time. By next week, it'll be ready with its pronouncement. And should they recommend him for dismissal, then please let him go and withdraw all the charges against him. That's the background of efforts. Again, when they got to Aso Rock, lawyers reportedly, going by newspaper reports now, yeah, your message will be delivered to the president, but you need to know that the president does not want, the former CJN back as head of the judiciary. So there's all of that in there. Meanwhile, the former CJN, it's out there somewhere that he's actually taken the federal government to court. What do you make of all of this? And this is a gentleman that's expected this morning as a law-abiding citizen to present himself before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. who, by the way, is also under investigation by EFCC, and that has been pointed out by the CJN, ex-CJN, as reason he doesn't feel he'll get a fair trial. Maybe hear from the lawyer first. What do you think of all of this? It's become something of a...
For me, I think my interrogation of what has been going on is that we need men of honor in our public offices. We need men of honor who would, for the sake of the progress of this society and the dignity of the office they occupy, and for the dignity of their persons, when you are accused and you believe you are accused wrongly, you should be in a hurry to go to the court to clear your name with courage and faith. But when you begin to put in all manner of administrative bottlenecks, legal bottlenecks to evade, it's just the same way so many senior advocates try to truncate cases in court. If your client has a very good case, you should be the one that will be in a hurry to clear the name of your client. But when you see any lawyer deliberately helping his client to remain in court for 10, 15 years of trial, it simply tells you they are trying to hide something. And we must tell ourselves the truth. The CJN, I am for both rule of law. But for God's sake, you have also been accused of concealing billions of naira.
Which is criminal.
In your account.
Lawyers are saying it's a criminal matter now.
Yes.
It is even worrisome, with kind of a diverse interpretations we are getting from the lawyers. Some we even, to exploit some deficiency, in the CCT Act itself. That once you confess, once you claim you forgot,
then you can't action it further.
You can't appear before the CCT. So you are telling us that a judge, whose business, whose trade is the law itself, he understands the lacuna, the shortcomings of the law, and is actually pleading that, and you just want us to fold our hands
If you interrogate the objective, the main aim of setting up the CCB is to promote the highest standard of morality in public office. Does that include a public officer having money in his account that he cannot account for? Look, if the CJN said, yes, if the CJN comes out and said, to hell with all of you, yes, I have this amount of money, but my brother is Dangote. Is there anything wrong? I told him that my salary can't take me home.
Yes. And the man is an African millionaire.
He's a millionaire. He's a billionaire.
He's a billionaire. So what are you talking about?
That amount of money to my man.
Let him say that.
Nobody will fault you.
Exactly.
Nobody will fault you. Oh, that my son is now a Bill Gates. Or Mark Zuckerberg, or Facebook.
Yeah.
And I told him that the salary in Nigeria is too poor. And he's funding my lifestyle. There won't be any criminal offense. But monies were found in your account. And you cannot legally, for every transfer and remittance to your account, you should be able to trace it to somebody.
As a judge.
And say, look, in my professional calling as a lawyer, I have 100 million naira in my account. It came through professional fee. I either got this case, and this was how much I was paid.
And you can explain it.
I issue them probably a receipt, or the people are alive, the organization is alive. You can make inquiries from there. Once you have an amount of money in your account that you cannot legitimately stand in the public and say, I earn this money professionally, we must begin to condemn such art. We must begin. And let me say this point blank.
People will say, I'm happy. 22 senior advocates, it was reported, have come together to say that what is going on now indicates a deeper rot within the judiciary. And the time has come for judicial reform. 22 SANs.
Yeah, they are right. Even if you look at the NBA president, one Paul, sorry, I can't remember his last name, that I think he's facing a charge before the FCC too. That he allegedly collected about over 1 something billion as legal fees. So the question from a state government, so the question you ought to ask yourself is that, if someone is using you as a conduit to, to siphon money under the false pretext of legal fees, because I don't know what you have done. But I don't know the quantum of your work that you will charge 1.7 billion, over 1 something billion naira, and you cannot explain satisfactorily.
See,
to the law enforcement. So what is happening? If you recall, I think sometimes around 2016, when the houses of some judges were burgled, that we saw dollars, we saw millions of nairas and other, and
the houses were raided.
And we need to get something. We need to get something very, very clear. The Evans, the notorious kidnapper, and these judges and other that are allegedly corrupt, I don't see any difference between them, because the danger is even more there. Because if you have a corrupt judge at that highest, the apex court in the land, which is the Supreme Court, and you have a notorious armed robber that has killed many people, and he could just find his way to actually bribe the judge. So
how can he do that? How can he do that?
Okay,
that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. All these allegations.
He can't.
And that is why these 22 SANs have decided that, look, let us just say it like it is. There's a lot of work that is necessary in the judiciary the way it stands. Okay, let's wait and see if indeed, Justice Onoge indeed does appear as he has been served notice to do. Maybe you could just spend a few minutes, before the end of the program, maybe to go back to the whole. Well, I understand there's a phone call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Henry.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, I'm Prince Will, calling from River State.
Prince Will, good morning.
Yes. I'm the first-time caller.
Great to have you.
Hello?
Great to have you.
I'm fine. I'm a first-time caller. I'm a regular viewer of your program.
Thank you. It's great to have you.
All right, sir. Yes, I want to make my contribution vis-a-vis the case of Justice Onoge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very briefly, please. Very briefly, because he's expected at the tribunal this morning unless something has been worked out.
Okay, sir. But what I want to say is that I think Nigerians should pay more attention to what is happening in the country now. If the presidency is with us, you see, a judge or a senior advocate of this country cannot tell the public that he forgot to declare his assets, and he's being charged with that, and people are getting angry. Governors are coming together to support him. You see, the problem we have in the country is that the other arms of government are not supporting the center to work effectively. And the state governments also are not working in accordance with the federal government to make Nigeria a better place. How can a judge say he forgot, a senior advocate say he forgot to declare his assets? If it were an ordinary citizen, what would be his take on that? You see, my appeal to every Nigerian is to support the government to do what is right. That is what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prince Will, for calling in, which goes back to the whole point. If the Honorable former CGN were to make himself available to, at the CCT, maybe some of these questions will be answered as to what actually is going. But I suggest we leave it here for now, depending when we get the information as to whether or not he has appeared. If he hasn't, it might well mean that something has been worked out, as the attempt was over the weekend. But let's quickly go back before we go to Lagos State, where Ahmed had said that he wasn't fazed at all by all of it when the rumblings of impeachment were going on in the legislature in Lagos State. So now the governor, Governor Advisory Council has met, has resolved the whole matter. As Tinubu put it, areas of compromise were noted, were made, and everything. This is what you expect in a democracy. He put it down to no more than conflict between the executive and the legislature. And are you, like Ahmed, thinking that it happens in politics from time to time. Nothing is going to happen.
I was deeply worried, because
you felt they might actually be able to impeach him.
Of course, just the theory of Mr. Abbas, actually failed some few months back when everybody, thought, that the internal wrangling within the APC, that they will find a way, of settling it.
Okay.
But lo
that
and
is
behold,
regarding Ambodi's second term.
Second term. But lo and behold, the whole thing actually,
the whole hog.
We were surprised that we thought they will come together, and resolve it.
So you thought this was going that same way?
No,
because the assemblymen were actually looking red-eyed.
Of course, I was quite worried because I knew they were quite determined, to go on with the impeachment move. If you look at, the alleged infractions, they put in the public domain and accusing the government, and they were quite, clear that the governor, unless he appears, gave him a day, a particular date, and they are going to move on. And the leadership of the party in Lagos has seen that. And I was quite, worried because I know election was probably barely 3 weeks away, and you have, a ruling party and the Lagos State with the vote of the highest votes in the land. So you can't afford, to go into that contest, with what I call a divided house. So I was quite worried for the ruling party. But I'm glad again that in Lagos, but I'm glad again that they have allowed, reason to prevail, and now they want to work. But I know quite well that this is just, if I should, look at it dispassionately, this is just
a patching.
It's just a patching. It's a temporary.
It's a plaster.
Yes, of course, just for them to cross the bridge, and definitely they will still return back to. That is exactly.
For me, sir.
Yes.
I knew from inception that it was not going to be resolved as an internal party issue. Even the Fashola era, there were underground rumors. Fashola is not coming for first time, but you never see any categorical statement in public from the stakeholders. There was never, at any point in time, did you see anybody being promoted as the likely person that would take over from Fashola in the second term, even though there were rumors that there were rancors, but there were no categorical statement as to, oh, he's not coming back, oh, I'm not the one in charge, it is the party that is saying this. So, but this one, it was in the public domain. People were intervening and the news were coming out that I'm powerless. It is the party, I'm powerless. So for them to have gotten to the point of saying we are going public, it is to tell you that the deal was sealed, signed, and delivered.
And almost delivered. Almost.
Oh, yes, delivered.
It was at the delivery stage they decided that no.
No, not even the impeachment one, but even the second term slot. It was a sign, it was very obvious for anybody who is a follower of politics of Lagos.
Ahmed in Dublin, thank you very much for holding on. Good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Laurie.
Thank you very much for calling in.
I'm a first-time caller.
Today is the day of first-time callers. We're delighted to have you, Ahmed.
Yeah, I will make it very brief and very fast.
Thank you.
Uncle Laurie, I was born and raised up in the Niger Delta before I left Nigeria for Dublin. It's a shame what is happening in the Niger Delta. I will start by saying, if you see the history of the Niger Delta politicians who we are aspiring later to become, they are all shame to us, and we are so embarrassed. You start from James Ibori, he was convicted.
Wait a minute, Ahmed. What subject are you commenting on?
It's about the CJ. It's about the
CJ. Okay.
It's a shame and it's an embarrassment to we all debtors. We all Niger debtors. I want to get this straight. It's a shame. The CJ, who is supposed to be an advocate of the Niger Delta, is being indicted for corruption. James Ibori was the governor of Delta State, was indicted for corruption. Alame Siya was indicted for corruption. Look at Dizani, was indicted for corruption. It is recorded in the history of Nigeria that the highest corruption and the highest money looted in the country was the Jonathan regime. What are these people doing? Are they mad? Are they crazy people?
You can see the pin.
It's a disgrace to the Niger Delta. Uncle Laurie, I was in the Niger Delta for more than 16 years. Go and look at what is happening in the Niger Delta. You cannot have an hospital. You cannot have a good education. People are not even, look at the presidential debate that is going on. Nobody's even saying what they have to do in education.
All right, then.
People are on strike, no medical. People are dying.
Okay, Ahmed.
The thing is...
A very angry Ahmed. I think it all goes... I think Ahmed is looking at the morals of the issue. Yeah. So it's a main component of the whole CGN, former CGN affair. The notion by some lawyers, if it is accurately reported, that can we just wait for the NJC to pronounce please, and that even if they demand, even if they recommend his dismissal, let the man just resign honorably, and all charges against him should be withdrawn.
For me, it's an embarrassment. Go to your prisons and see people who are languishing in prison for stealing 1,000 naira, for stealing 10,000, for stealing phones.
And some of them, who is leading, you know, the defense of the ex-CGN. Oh, by the way, some people have connected that Chief Wale Olanipekun also was, you know, instrumental in the court battles of the president, you know, to, you know, secure his mandate.
See, the essence of penalties in any society is to discourage such act. It's to discourage such act. And if you constantly create leeway for the high and the mighty, it simply means the law is meant for the ordinary man on the street. Where in this country, somebody, in plea bargaining, somebody admitted to have looted billions of banks' funds, and we also went to court. The person was sentenced to some few months imprisonment, and we actually went to the court to pray that the person is not feeling too well. The person should actually serve out a term within the confines of an air-conditioned hospital in the society. You can never have a decent society where you bend the rules for some people. So that means we are not all equal before the law.
Exactly.
That's it. Go to your prison and you see men and women. There are people that have spent 10 years in prison for offenses that they may not even be found guilty of.
And so
I remember someone.
The thing to do is that we've got to go, but I think we should just leave it where Mr. Abbas, you know, put it, which is that if it's the law, then it is no respecter of human beings. But let's see how all of this will play out. I don't know, you know, he might be there already, he might not be attending. But I want to thank you very much. We've got to move on. Eni Olukotun, journalist, and Ahmed Dada Abbas, lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you both, gentlemen, for coming.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
That's our program. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.